Hi, I'm Mordechai Torchiner, and I am scheduled to present the second week of our daily dose of Torah videos. And the focus for this week, the week of Tisha B'Av, is Jeremiah's Lament, Yirmiyahu's Lamentation, the book of Eichah. The book of Eichah, or Lamentations, was written by the prophet Yirmiyahu after the destruction of the first temple, the first Beis HaMikdash, in what was either the year 586 before the Common Era or about 420 before the Common Era, depending on different versions of the historical record. What I want to do for this week is to take today to talk about the book in general and its message, and then on subsequent days to look at messages drawn from each chapter of the book. Looking at the book in general, what's its point? Other books of Tanakh have different purposes. So some books are national history, right? You think of Yehoshua, Shoftim, Shmuel, Malachim, Divrei Hayamim. They give us just, this is what happened and roughly when it happened. You have other books that provide examples for tefillah, for prayer. Think Tehillim, obviously. Some books provide visions of future events. So if you think of a book like Yechezkel or Yirmiyahu, Yeshaya in some measure, Daniel, and some books give advice, right? Mishlei, Koheles. But this book of Eichah doesn't give advice. It doesn't record history. It doesn't tell of future events. It has some prayer, sort of, but most of it is not that. So what is this book? And what does it want from us, from the reader? Rabbi Yitzchak Eid Shalom notes that Eichah is primarily expressive, like parts of Tehillim are. He thinks Shir Hashirim may be considered that as well. The author is giving voice to personal experience. So perhaps the point of the book is for Jews to see how Yirmiyahu expresses his pain, expresses his grief, expresses his lament, and through that be inspired in terms of the way we express our pain. I think it makes sense for us to see Yirmiyahu that way, to look at how Yirmiyahu expresses grief, because his personal story is our national story. And I discussed this more at length in a full-length class, and I expect to put the link to the recording of that class in the description below this video. But look at it in brief. Like us, he's born into a covenant, and he's told that God identified him before he was even born. Before he was conceived. God had already selected him for his role. His connection with God, his alignment with a divine mission, sets him apart from others in a negative way, such that he says in chapter 15, I'm really happy to have this connection with you, God, but boy, does it set me apart, boy, does it make me miserable. He says, about Hashem's word, Vayhi dvar chalila sasonu l'simcha. Your words brought me joy. They brought me simchat levavi, the joy of my heart. Ki nekra shemcha alai. Your name is called upon me, Hashem. And then he says, Lo yashavti misod misachkim. I didn't sit with those who were laughing and having a good time, loath to be frivolous with them. Mipnei yadcha, because of your hand, God. Badad yashavti. I sat badad, alone. And of course that reminds us of the book of Eichah. Eichah yashva badad. Kizam milesani, because you filled me with rage. His mission makes him heavily anti-establishment for their corruption. His rage puts him on the outs with the government and with power players, and he faces hostility, failure, and struggle. And he wants to quit, and yet he persists. If you listen to these verses from chapter 20, it's positively Jobian. Pitisani Hashem va'epos. He says, you seduced me, God, and I was seduced. Chazaktani, you overpowered me. Vatuchal, and you triumphed over me. Hayisi l'schok kol hayom kulo lo egli. Everybody mocks me all day long, everywhere. And he goes on, and he says, Arur hayom asher yuladati bo. He curses the day that he was born. He's miserable, even as he rejoices in his mission. He wants to quit, and yet he persists. So the goal for us, as we read Eichah, is to hear how somebody like this, a prophet, and someone whose experience is so like our own, how he laments, and to be inspired to express that lament ourselves. But to end on a somewhat upbeat note, remember this. Yirmiyahu expresses the thought that he is small and unworthy, right there at the beginning of his book. Nara nochi, he says, who am I? But Hashem promises, nonetheless, that he'll be with him. May Hashem be with us as well.